Hi guys, welcome back. So in today's video we will be talking about some basic components of React Native. Okay, so if we'll go for the website development, you have seen HTML tags, right? There is a p tag, img tag, div tag, span tag, h1 tag, so on, right? So they are hypertext markup language tags which is used for website creation. Okay. The same way for application development in React Native, you have to learn some XML tags. Okay. Need to know what that XML tag do and how you can create a UI using that particular tags. Okay. So we will be learning that in today's video. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's get started. So in the basic components of React Native, the first thing which comes up is the view. Okay, so what is a view? Okay, so view is basically like a div in HTML. So you have a div in HTML, the same way you have a view in React Native. Okay, so how view works, let's jump into the code and write some code for the view. Okay, so the first tag is the view. Okay, so you have to write a view tag like this. Okay, so this is like an XML. Okay, and inside this you can write your particular elements of React Native. Okay, so view, where it comes from? So it comes from React-native library. Okay, it comes from React-native library. Okay, so for this view to styled up, okay, we have to create a styling. Okay, so for styling there is a prop called a style. Okay, and inside that style you have to write a curly bracket, and inside that you can write your styling. Okay, so there are three ways through which you can write your styling. Okay, so the first way I'm going to show you is this one. Okay, so inside a curly bracket you have to write a curly bracket again, and in this you have to write the styling. Okay, so for styling we will be using flexbox. Okay, so for website development we have CSS, the same way in React Native we have a flexbox. Okay, so we will be discussing some of the attributes of flexbox also. Okay, so the first attribute is the flex. Okay, so what does this flex means? This flex means how much amount of space you want to give it to this view. Okay, so if I'll give it 1, it will take the entire page. If I'll give it 0.5, it will take half of the page. If I'll give it 0.1, it will take 0.1% of your page. Okay, so I want this view to take the entire page, so I'll say flex is equal to 1. The next thing I'll write is the flex direction. Okay, so flex direction means what? You want to render your components row wise or column wise. So if you'll see, there is a column reverse, row and row reverse. Okay, so if you want the view to render in the horizontal, go for row. Okay, if you want it to render vertical, then go for column. Okay, so this is the flex direction. Okay, the next is like you can give a height. Okay, you can give a height to that particular view. Let's say I want to give an height of 100. Okay, I want to give some padding to that particular view, so I can give that. Let's say padding is equal to 20. Okay, so this is what a view is. Okay, inside view you can write some more views. Inside view you can write some more views. Okay, so view can be nested. Okay, so let's say inside this view I have one styling. Inside this styling I want to write, let's say background color, I have to give this as blue. Okay, and the second prop I want to give is I want to give a flex. So let's say flex I have to give, suppose this view should take 0.3%. Okay, so let's see my mobile. Okay, so here is the view of blue color. Okay, so what happened is it took the flex equals 1, right? So what it did, it take the entire page. Okay, with the padding of 20, it took the entire page. Okay, and inside this we have created a view, and in this view we have created blue color. Okay, so this flex 0.3 is what, this much. Okay, so let's create one more view. Let's say view. Inside this view you can style it, right? So style is equal to, inside this styling, let's say I have to give background color red. Okay, and flex I have to give 0.6. Okay, let's see how it looks. See. Okay, so this is the view, entire view. Then inside this there is a blue, and there is a red block. Okay, so red block is taking 0.6 per flex, and this is taking 0.3. Okay, and there is a padding of 20. Okay, so this is how you can style. Okay, this is one of the way you can style your components. Okay, the second way you can style your component is you can create a separate object. So constant, let's say my object name is styles, and inside this I can write stylesheet.create. So what does this means? Stylesheet.create means React Native gives you a particular library called a style sheet. Inside this you can create your multiple objects. Okay, so let's say I will create one object container, and inside this container I will write the entire styling inside this container. Okay, and what I'll do, how I'll link that particular view with this container is I'll write this object styles and in dot, and then I'll write container. Okay, so what happens is it goes to the styles object and it will search for the container object, and it will take all the stylings from here. Okay, so this is one of the way you can create. So for that you can have to create a separate object. Okay, the same way you can create for the blue block. So let's say I have a blue block. Okay, and this name you can give anything you want. Okay, and then you can write your code inside this, and you can simply say in the single curly is the styles dot blue block. Okay, the same way you can go for red block. So red block colon, and inside this you can write the entire red block. Okay, and here you can paste it, and you can write styles dot red block. Okay, let's save it. Let's see, is there any changing? No, there is no change, right? Because either you can write it in the double brackets, or you can create a separate object called styles with a style sheet dot create, and you can write your styling here. Okay, so this is the flexbox kind of styling which we have created. Okay, another way you can create your styling is you can create a separate file. So I am in app.js, so you can create a separate file. Let's say app.style.js, and inside that you can write export default. Okay, export default, and then you can copy your style sheet dot create entirely. I'll remove this from here. Okay, and I'll write it in the separate file. Okay, and here you have to import some things. So first thing is you have to import React from React. Okay, and you have to import style sheet from React-native. Okay, just save this file, and in this file what you have to do, you have to import it. Okay, so for importing this file you have to write import some object name from, and then dot slash, and then you can import that particular app.style file. So all the styling of this will be taken up from this particular file. Okay, so if you will click control and you go to this, you will see all the stylings that has been applied to this particular view. Okay, so I hope you have understood what is a view and how you can give a styling. So there are three ways. One is the double bracket, second one is const style is equal to stylesheet.create, and the third one, you can create a separate file and you can export your styling from here and you can import it and then you can use it. Okay, so if I'll save it, there will be no change. Okay, so this is the view. Okay, and how you can create a styling of that particular view. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Okay, so the next one is text. Okay, so what is a text? Okay, so text is nothing but a label. Okay, text is nothing but label. Okay, so let's see how we can create a text. Okay, so I'll remove these two views from here, I don't need it now, and I'll write a text. Okay, so this text is coming from React Native. This text is coming from the React Native library. Okay, and inside this you can write your text. Okay, so once you save it, you will see that text on the screen. Okay, so if you want to give styling to this particular hello world, what you can do, you can create a style. So style is equal to styles dot, and then you have to write, say, let's say hello. Okay, and you have to create this hello inside the styling file. So I'll go to the styling file, I'll create a hello here, and inside that I'll write the styling for that text. Okay, so let's say I want a font size of 30. Okay, then I need a color, so color should be let's say blue. Okay, there should be a padding of, let's say, 5, and there should be a margin of, let's say, 5. Okay, I'll save this and just see, the color is blue now and the font size is whatever we have given the font size, it has taken that, and there is a margin also and there is a padding also, right? Okay, so this is the text for you. Okay, you can show you display your text here. Okay, the next thing is, let's say I have a constant, let's say I want to display my name. Okay, so I have created a variable called as name, and there is a setter of that name, set name, and I am using a use state hook. Okay, inside this use state hook, I will be giving an initial name, let's say my name Vineet. Okay, so use state is nothing but a hook which a functional component uses, okay, for state, okay, of a particular screen. And from where it comes from, it comes from React. It comes from React. So import use state from React and you will have to use use state. Okay, so use state gives you the variable and the setter. Okay, so if I want to show this name inside this text, okay, so instead of hello world, I have to show hello Vineet. Okay, so how I can do that? So I'll remove world. Okay, I'll write a curly bracket, and inside this curly bracket I'll give the particular variable name. Okay, let's save and let's see the output. See, hello Vineet. So it is taking from that particular variable. Okay, now let's say you want to click on that particular hello Vineet, and you have to change it to hello Kapoor, let's say. Okay, so how you can do that? So I'll write on press. So on press is attribute of the text, and inside this you can pass a function to it. Okay, so let's say change name. Okay, and let's create a change name. Okay, so constant change name is equal to, and inside this you can write, okay, so there is a setter one, right? So I'll take this set name, okay, and I will change it to, let's say, Kapoor. Okay, so what I am doing, I am changing this variable from Vineet, which is the initial state, to Kapoor. Okay, let's save and let's see. Okay, so there is a hello Vineet. When I press on the Vineet, it changes to Kapoor. Okay, So that's why it is called as JSX, because you can write XML attributes, XML tags, XML attributes, and inside this you can render your JavaScript also. So this is name is a JavaScript variable, and I am writing it here in the curly bracket. So this means JavaScript and this means XML. That's why it is called as JSX. Okay, so I hope you understood a text and a view, right? Let's see what is the next one. Okay, so the next one is the image. Okay, so let's see how we can render an image on the page. Okay, so let's go to the code. Okay, I'll remove this text, I don't need this. I will remove this function also, I don't need this. Okay, and I'll import an image from React Native. Okay, and I'll write an XML image here. Okay, so in the image there is the first prop is you have to give the styling to the image. So let's say style is equal to styles dot image style, and inside this image style, which you can create it in the styling file, you can give a height and a width to the image. Okay, so let's say height is 100, let's say, and width is also 100. Okay, so instead of giving it as a string, I'll give it as a number. So let's say I'll give 300 by width is 300. Okay, let's save this. Okay, and just style is not enough, you have to give from where you have to pick up the image, right? So for that you have to write a source. Okay, so what is a source? Source will be giving you from where you will pick up the image. Okay, so inside this source you have to give double curly bracket, and inside this you have to write URI. Okay, and inside this you have to give the image URL. Okay, so let's take a URL. Okay, so let's copy the link address. Okay, so copy image address. Okay, and let's paste it here. Okay, so let's save it and let's see if the image is coming or not on the mobile, and tada, the image is here. Okay, so this is how you can render an image which is at particular server. Okay, but what if you want to show the image which is in the local assets folder? Okay, so let me download this image. Inside this images folder I have to paste it. So paste. Okay, so once I pasted, this Maggie is now in this. Okay, now let's render that using local image. Okay, so instead of taking it from the URI, what I'll do is I'll write require. Okay, I'll not take it from the URI, I will write require, and inside this require, what I can do, I can write dot slash src folder. Inside this src folder there is an assets folder. Okay, inside this assets folder there is images folder, and inside this images folder you have the image called as maggie.png. Okay, so like that you can go to that particular folder, so it should be correct path, otherwise it will not take your image. Okay, so let's go to this, and tada, this is taking from the local now. Okay, so like that you can do a require, or you can do a URI based on your requirement. Like if you have the image, you can store it in the local and display it. If you don't have, you can host it on a particular server and you can take the URI from it. Okay, so this is the image. Okay, this is the image. Okay, next component is, let's see the next component. Okay, so next component is your text input. Okay, so if let's say you want to take the input from the user, okay, so you have to create an edit text kind of thing, which is the text input. Okay, so let's see how we can create a text input. Okay, so I'll remove this image, I don't need this image now. Okay, now we have to create what, a text input. So I'll have to write text input. Okay, close, and I'll import it from the React Native. Okay, so now in the text input, okay, the first is the styling, of course. So styling is equal to style dot text input, and I can write the text input styling here. Okay, so in this I'll give a height to the text input. Let's say I want to give the height of 100, and let's say I want to give a border to that text input. So I'll give a border width of, let's say, 1. Okay, I'll save it. Okay, so styling is one thing. Okay, then you have to give a value. Okay, so value should be equal to something. Okay, so I'll create a useState variable. Let's say constant. Let's say I'm taking the name. Okay, set name and use state book, and inside this I am writing my initial name beneath, so that it's visible. Beneath is visible in the text input, and you have to import state, use state from React. That is okay, and then you have to give value as name. Okay, so you want to store whatever is written inside the name. Okay, so like that you have given in the value. Okay, the next is you can write is the on change text. Okay, so once the text is changed in the input, what you can do, you can call the set name. Okay, so what this set name will do, it will change the particular name from whatever you have written. Okay, so this is the basic three props: style, value, and on change text. Okay, so let's save and let's see if it's visible or not. So see, this is visible. Okay, and I can write something on it. Okay, see, but there is a very less width. Okay, so I'll give a height of 50. Okay, and I will give a width of, let's say, 100%. Okay, and I'll give a comma. Okay, so see, it is 100% width. Okay, and you can type in here whatever you want to type, you can type it here. Okay, so these three are the basic text input thing. Okay, you have to give the styling, you have to write a value, and value should be a variable. Okay, and on change tag you have to give the setter of that variable. Okay, other props of text input can be, if you want to show a placeholder, you can say placeholder is equal to enter a name. Okay, let's save it and let's see the output. Okay, placeholder, enter a name. Okay, if I type something, it will be invisible. Okay, so that is a placeholder. Okay, and one more is the keyboard type. Okay, and here you can write whatever type you want to give. Okay, so you want to give number pad, you want to give numeric, phone pad, like that. So if I want a numeric value, I can write numeric, so the keyboard will be changed to numeric. Okay, so if I don't want a numeric value, let's say I want a decimal pad, so decimal pad is coming. Okay, what all options we have? Okay, so I can give an email address. So once I give the email address, see, it got changed to a numeric, uh, from numeric to a normal keyboard. Okay, like that you can change your keyboard type. Okay, so this is the text input. Okay, so I hope you understood what is a text input and what are the mandatory parameters you have to give to a text input. Okay, now let's see the next one. Okay, next is the scroll view. Okay, so if you want a screen to scroll, right, so in that particular case you can use a scroll view. Okay, so if your data is big, okay, and you want to render a scrolling view, then you can use a scroll view. Okay, so let's see how we can use a scroll view. So I'll remove this I'll remove a text. Okay, and here I will write a scroll view. Okay, and I'll import this from React Native. Okay, and I will say scroll view ended. Okay, and inside this I can write a text. Okay, and text I can take. Okay, so let's take a text. I'll copy this. Okay, I will paste it here. I'll paste it again to show you how scroll view works. Okay, so see, this is the content, and if you want to scroll, you can scroll. Right, there is a scrolling bar and you can scroll your content. Okay, so like this you can create a scroll view for your component. Okay, so this is a scroll view for you. Okay, so the scroll view is really simple, right? Then the next is style sheet, which we have already seen, right? So if you want to create a style sheet, you can create it like style sheet dot create. Okay, so this is a style sheet for you. So style sheet is an abstraction similar to CSS style sheet. So you have to import style sheet from React Native, and inside this you can create your styles. Okay, so this is a style sheet we have already learnt, right? So let's go for the next one. Okay, so the next one is the button. So if you want to create a button, then how you can create it? Okay, so let's go to the app. Let's delete these things. Okay, let's delete the scroll view. Okay, I don't need a scroll view now. Okay, next is the button. Okay, so you can write a button. Okay, and close it. Okay, so button basically requires a title. Okay, what you want to show inside a button. Okay, so the button is like I want to show submit. Okay, so you can give a submit here, right? Then the next basic parameter of button is on press. Okay, so on press you can call a function. Let's say button pressed. Okay, button pressed. Okay, and I'll create that button pressed. So constant button pressed is equal to, this is an arrow function. Okay, and let's say I want to show an alert, so I can write alert, which comes from React -native. Okay, and then I can call the alert function, and inside this I can write button pressed. Okay, and I'll save it. Okay, let's see if the button is shown or not. Oh my god, this is the height it is taking of the flex. Okay, so once I click on the button, it will show button with the OK button. Okay, this button looks a little ugly. Let's fix it. Okay, so let's say in this button, okay, I have a container view. Okay, so inside this the flex is 1, so I'll remove this flex :1. Okay, and once it is removed, it takes the particular height, right? And inside this you can give your styling to the button. Style is equal to styles dot button, and then you can give a button here, and here you can give a width and height to the button. So width I want is 100%. Okay, and height I want as 50. Okay, so let's save it and let's see. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, the height of 100 here, that's why it is taking it like this. So if I'll do, and it is here. Okay, now I want it on the center of the screen. So what I'll do, I will write justify content :center, and I'll write align items center. Okay, and it comes into the center. Okay, I want to give some margin top, so I can write margin top :10. Okay, so see, the margin has been given to the button, right? Like this you can create your own button. So for button, you have to give styling, you have to give a title, and you have to give a on press. On press, you have to pass a function, and in the function you can write your logic here. Okay, so this is a button for you. Okay, so I hope you understood what is a button. Okay, next is the switch. Okay, so if you want a switch kind of functionality, like you want to switch on and off, okay, you can create a switch. Okay, so let's see how we can create a switch. Okay, so I'll remove this button pressed, I'll remove this button. Okay, and I'll take the switch. Okay, switch. Okay, inside this switch you can pass some particular parameters. Okay, the first parameter is a track color. Okay, track color means what? Whatever color you want to show behind the bar, okay, when it is false and when it is true. Okay, so when it is false you want to show a different color, when it is true, like if when it is on, you want to show the different color, right? So that you can write it here. The second is thumb color. Okay, what color it should show when the thumb is been touched. Okay, so if it is enabled, okay, I'm showing this color. If it is disabled, I'm showing this color. Okay, and I have to give a value. Okay, so value, okay, equals, and inside this I have to give a variable. Okay, so I'll create a variable, let's say constant. I will take enabled. Okay, and is enabled, I'll take is enabled variable name. Okay, and in the setter I'll write set is enabled equals use state. Okay, and inside this I'll pass the initial value, which is false. Okay, and the second thing is I'll pass this is enabled to the value. Okay, and next is on value change. On value change, you have to pass a particular function. Okay, so let's say there is a function called as log toggle switch, and you can create a toggle switch, okay, function. And inside this toggle switch function, what you are doing, you are setting this variable. Okay, if the previous state is true, you are setting it to false. If the previous state is false, you are setting it to true. Okay, so these are the mandatory parameters. So first one is a track color, second is a thumb color, third is the value, and fourth is the on it looks like. See, okay, so the background color is grayish. Okay, once I click on it, see the color changes to blue. Okay, and when it is off, the thumb color is white. Okay, but when I press it, it changes to yellow, right? So this is done by this track color and thumb color. Okay, and the value is enabled, is coming from this state. So initially, if you'll see, initially it will be off. Okay, because the initial value we have passed is as false. Okay, on value change we are passing a toggle switch, and inside this we are changing the previous state. Okay, so previous state, whatever previous state, we are giving a not to that. Okay, so if it is true, it will give it as false. If it is false, it will give it as true. Okay, so like this you can create a switch kind of functionality in React Native. Okay, so I hope you understood what is track color, thumb color, value, and on value change. Okay, now let's go for the next one. Okay, so what is the next thing? Switch is done. Okay, now next is the list view, which is the highly used components, right? So the first component is the flat list. Okay, so flat is list is like a list view. Okay, in React Native. Okay, and there are many functionality of flat list in React Native. Okay, so let's see how we can create a list view kind of thing in React Native. Okay, so I'll remove this. I'll remove this. Okay, and I will take a flat list. Okay, I'll take a flat list. Okay. Okay, so flat list means a particular list. Okay, so the first thing I want is the data. Okay, data is the prop which we have to pass. Okay, and the data will be an array of objects. Okay, so let's take the array of objects. Okay, so I'll create a constant data. I'll take it from here. Okay, I'll paste it here. Okay, so constant data. Okay, and inside this data I have an array, and inside this array we have some three JSON objects, and inside this object we have an ID, some ID, title, some title. Okay, ID title. Okay, and I'll pass this array to the data prop. I'll pass this array to the data prop. Okay, the next thing is we have passed the data. Okay, next thing is render item prop. Okay, so render item prop takes a function. Okay, so let's take a render item and create a render item. Constant render item is equal to, and render item takes a particular item from the list. Okay, and then you can create an arrow function, and inside this you can write what you want to return. Okay, so let's say I want to return all the titles. Okay, so I'll create a view. Inside this view I'll create a text, and inside this text I'll write a curly bracket, and inside this I'll write item dot title. Okay, so every item, go to every item and take the title property from it and display it. Okay, in the render item. Okay, so this is a render item prop which takes an item and it iterates basically, and it takes the title from the array in every object and it displays it. Okay, and the last is the key extractor prop. Okay, so what is this key extractor prop? So basically for list view to render every row uniquely, okay, you have to give a key to the particular row. Okay, so you have to give a key extractor. Okay, so in this key extractor it will take an item. Okay, and inside this item it should take a particular key. So I'll say item dot id. So what does that mean? Go to the item and take the id as the key. Okay, so id is unique for all row. See, item unique, right? So that's why I'm giving a key extractor item as item id. Okay, so let's save it. So see my phone, and this is the first item, second item, third item, right? So what it is doing, it is first taking the data, which is the array of objects. This is an array of object. Okay, then in the render item it is calling a render item function. Inside this render item it is taking a particular item from which is the particular JSON object. Okay, and then it is rendering the title. Okay, so suppose I want to render id also, then what I can do, I can simply write text here, and inside this text I can write item dot id as well. Okay, and I'll save it. So once I save it, see, id and then item, id then item, then id and then item. Okay, and if I want to add some more, let's say I want to add one more item, let's say fourth item, and I have to change some id, right? So I'll change some id. Okay, that should be unique, and I'll save it, and you will see the fourth item as well with the id. Okay, so basically flat list iterates to an array, and it iterates to the JSON object, and it takes the particular item, and whatever you have given in this item it will display here. Okay, so this is a flat list for you. Okay, so these are the three props: data, render item, and key extractor. Okay, so data is what we want to render. Render item is the view. Okay, and it iterates through every item and it shows the particular JSON object key and value, right? And the key extractor is basically for identifying each row. Okay,